into a complete media analysis, and most definitely we're going to get into this new breaking news that's happening in Gaza. All right, guys, let's get right into it. Make sure y'all double tap the screen and like the video. Let's go.
United against Trump. Leaders from some of the world's largest powers right now joining forces to take on the White House. And the images are striking. Russia's Vladimir Putin shaking hands and laughing with Chinese President Xi Jinping and India's Prime Minister Modi. At one point, even holding hands with Modi. The show of unity in China clearly designed to send a message to Trump and what she calls his, quote, bullying practices. The trio is notably about to be joined by another U.S. adversary, North Korea's Kim Jong-un. This is a picture of him in his bulletproof train, reportedly just now crossing into China. Kim steps onto the world stage fresh off a tour of his country's newest missile factory, one that North Korea claims is a cornerstone of its military expansion. A military that, according to Ukraine, is on the verge of sending up to 30,000 troops to Eastern Europe to provide Russia with more manpower. And as Trump watches these world leaders gather without him, he is lashing out at one. India's Narendra Modi, writing online that America's relationship with India has been a, quote, totally one-sided disaster. And yet, the one leader who is evading Trump's ire is Vladimir Putin, a man whose military launched a round of overnight attacks on Ukraine yet again. Also, the man who went before cameras today attempting to rewrite history, insisting that his invasion is all Ukraine's fault.
I ain't gonna say it's all Ukraine's fault, and we're not gonna sit here and say that, well, Ukraine going into NATO was the only reason Putin invaded. But I'm gonna be real with you, we damn sure gave him that reason. Like, if Ukraine never tried to go into NATO, if NATO never tried to accept Ukraine, then that'd have been one less reason Putin had to invade Ukraine. So it's not really rewriting history. It's kind of like stating the fact that Putin gave us a warning to not let Ukraine into NATO. We disrespected that warning, and here we are. And now we're acting like the warning was never given to us.
Mind you that this crisis was created not as a result of Russia attacking Ukraine. It emerged as a result of a coup d'etat in Ukraine that was provoked and supported by the West.
Trump's prolonged silence on Putin's actions may also be emboldening the Russian leader. We're now learning a plane carrying the European Union's top official was targeted by the Kremlin. Shortly before landing, we're told the jet's GPS system was jammed by Russian technology. Ursula von der Leyen's plane was able to land safely using paper maps. The EU's top leader, we should point out, is a staunch defender of Ukraine. We have Ivan Watson tonight out front live in Beijing, as well as Kristen Holmes at the White House. Let's start with Ivan. Clearly a busy and symbolically important day for Xi, who is readying to hold this one-on-one with Putin.
That's right, that one-on-one, which is expected to take place here in the Chinese capital later today. You know, while the U.S. and the Trump administration have been disrupting America's traditional foreign policy position by with its global trade war, with the cutting back on.
It's crazy how they're saying disrupting. I don't really see this disrupting. I see it as straightening out. Like I said, a lot of these guys had trade deficits with us that was honestly you couldn't really explain, and you just can't say that, oh well, we buy into their economy more than they buy into ours. I mean, no, we don't even have the chance to even sell into their economy. Like, and a lot of people left that argument out. So when people say, oh, he's disrupting global trade, no, he's trying to straighten out the unfair global trade that's weighed against the American people. And because there's corporations that benefit off this, and which is obvious, it's kind of funny how the Dems who claim they're against these corporations are actually, you know, kind of holding water for them right now. Because who does this benefit? Because it don't benefit the American people, but it does benefit these corporations.
International aid, with sharp criticism of traditional allies, China has been using this opportunity to present itself to its friends and partners and the world as a reliable, stable, and predictable global power.
A show of international.
Okay, then that country will be in an unfair trade debt with China. Their country will lose all their jobs to China, and they will be going down the same path that we were. That's why we have to cut it off. I mean, if y'all want to F around and see what happens when you let China run y'all production, then please go ahead. but you were warned.
solidarity. At a time of global uncertainty, leaders of three of the world's largest countries happily rubbing shoulders at a summit of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in Tianjin, China. The leaders of China and Russia have long complained that the U.S. and its Western allies have dominated international relations. So now they've gathered heads of state from across Asia and the Middle East into this vast building to call for the creation of a new world order. The host, Chinese President Xi Jinping, denouncing bullying and double standards and promoting China as a champion for developing countries.
不搞双标。
The house rules of a few countries.
Developing countries. Okay, so let's get into China developing countries. Name one country that China is involved with in Africa that's developed. No, they don't develop nothing. They take their resources and put 99-year lease on their land. Like, what are y'all talking about? If y'all want to go through the same thing with China, please go ahead.
Should not be imposed upon others.
We are not jealous about that.
Those points echoed by his close partner, Vladimir Putin. Even as his military continues its nightly bombardment of Ukrainian cities, defying U.S. President Donald Trump's demands for peace. But the Russian president accuses the West of starting Russia's war with Ukraine and makes his own appeal for a new global system of governance.
A system that would replace the outdated Eurocentric and Euro-Atlantic models, taking into account the interests of the broadest possible range of countries, truly balanced.
But it is the presence of India's prime minister that has been most notable at this gathering. Narendra Modi came to China, still stinging from 50% tariffs imposed by the Trump administration on Indian goods. Snubbed by Washington, Modi is now mending fences with China. Despite an ongoing Chinese...
And here's the thing, Modi, that's not going to help you. I mean, let's be real. Like you being cool with China is not going to help you secure those Apple factories. But we'll see how that works out for them. Because like I said, they could always go somewhere else. And Apple's already trying to work on end-to-end production in America. So you can help them speed that up by working with China. Like, trust me.
The border dispute that 5 years ago turned very deadly. Modi also spent an...
Oh, yeah. Shout out my man Maine. He says, late is better than never. Yep. Better late than never. Hey, appreciate you guys. And shout out my man Maine for starting us off. Yeah, my bad, guys. My bad. Definitely woke up a bit late on that.
An hour talking to Putin in the Russian president's limousine, demonstrating India has other powerful friends if it can no longer count on U.S. support.
So the Chinese leader Xi Jinping has been flexing his diplomatic muscles at that river port city of Tianjin at this regional security summit. Now expect him to flex his military muscles, quite literally, because on Wednesday, he's going to be putting on a massive military parade here in the capital, Beijing, to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the surrender of Japan in World War II. Dozens of world leaders are expected to attend.
Wait, why are they celebrating it? I mean, that's kind of petty. Like, we're the ones who made them surrender, and you guys are celebrating it? I mean, that's a bit petty, but okay.
And the Russian President Vladimir Putin is here in Beijing. The Iranian president is expected to attend. And the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is expected to attend as well. And according to Korean Central Broadcasting, his train has crossed the border from North Korea into China and is likely on its way here to Beijing right now. Boris?
That'll be quite a set of images. Ivan Watson live for us in Beijing. Thank you so much. Let's go to Kristen Holmes out front at the White House. Kristen, a major show of force by America's adversaries, all organized by Xi. Trump largely silent about the Chinese leader, though. What is the White House thinking on all of this?
Well, Boris, as you noted, I mean, the Prime Minister of India, Modi, is sending a clear message to Washington amid these 50% tariffs, which we know from hearing from economists in India have really been detrimental to the country in long term.
Whoa, sis, what are you saying? You just went against your narrative right there. I thought tariffs get passed down to the American consumer. So if there's a 50% tariff on India, why are y'all mad? How's that hurting them? Remember, guys, who pay tariffs? The consumer. Isn't that what the Dems been telling y'all the whole time? Now all of a sudden she's saying, well, the tariffs are actually hurting India, and they're having a big hard time. Whoa, 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 whoa. You guys on CNN has been spreading the propaganda that these countries don't pay the tariffs, that these companies, that these suppliers and the companies don't pay the tariffs, and it gets passed on to the consumer. What is this? And don't worry, I'm bringing up these tariffs. Trust me, I'm bring up the tariffs as well. But I'm gonna make sure I clip this up because this is absolutely hilarious. How she just literally had a slip up. Did you literally just say that countries other than the United States who impose the tariffs are hurting from them? So didn't that go against y'all narrative that y'all was spreading, saying that tariffs are only get passed down to the American consumer? Okay.
Trump largely silent about the Chinese leader, though. What is the White House thinking on all of this?
Well, Boris, as you noted, I mean, the Prime Minister of India, Modi, is sending a clear message to Washington amid these 50% tariffs, which we know from hearing from economists in India have really been detrimental to the country and long term will really hurt the country's economy. So President Trump has been taking out most of his frustration on Modi. It's a signal that Modi sent that was picked up by the White House. You noted that.
And here's the thing, though. Modi is pretty much buying oil from the same guy that you guys want Trump to impose sanctions on. You want us to fight Russia, and he's trying to stop the war without using useless sanctions and fighting Russia. But you guys are kind of like making fun of it. Remember, these are the same guys that was going like Trump is too soft on Russia and all this wild stuff. And India is the same country that's supporting the war that these guys are so against. But right now they're shaking pom-poms for the man for meeting up with all the enemies of America. Like, bro, who are these people at this point at CNN? Are y'all American? Are y'all sure you guys are?
Truth Social post talking about this relationship, saying it was one-sided, blaming the prime minister. We also heard from one of Donald Trump's top trade advisors who called the show of unity troublesome.
It's time for Modi to step up. I have great respect for Modi. I love the Indian people. It was a shame to see Modi getting in bed as the leader of the biggest democracy in the world with the two biggest authoritarian dictators in the world, in Putin and Xi Jinping. That doesn't make any sense.
No, that ain't surprised me at all because India's always been very shady in their dealings. I'm just be quite honest with you. It's like they'll play all holistic in your face and then they're going to do some shady stuff in the background. I mean, that's how India's always been. I mean, they play all holistic with the trade and all that good stuff. Modi meets up with Trump when he's the worst offender when it comes to tariffs, which is absolutely hilarious when he was the first people to show up when Trump started talking about tariffs because he knew he was the worst offender. And guess what? He still is.
So clearly here you have the White House blaming Modi, blaming India for this, but we should.
And here's the thing. Yes, I do believe that Trump should have raised tariffs on India because, like, bro, you're supporting the war. You're literally help funding the war that we're trying to stop here. That everybody wants stop, and you're over here funding it, and then you're crying that you're being punished for it. Okay?
Make one thing clear, and I know Ivan laid this out. There was a strained relationship for years between China and India. This is the first time Modi has been back in China for 7 years, and partially it was about the economy as well. And now you see India looking for other options. Essentially, if the United States is going to stand in the way of India growing its economy, which is something they've been trying to do, to become one of the largest economies in the world, bigger than they already are, then they are going to look for alternatives. And you're going to start to hear from a lot of people who oppose these tariffs saying that this was bound to happen, that of course, these large global economies are going to find economies that want to work with them. The big question.
The problem is they're going to find economies that want to work with them. Of course they are, but are they going to find economies that can place the consumerism of the American people? No, we have the biggest consumer economy in the world. That's why these countries are taking back like heavily overweighted deals that are favor us, overly favorable deals to the United States because they're desperate to get into our market. Like, trust me, I'm not even sure that this is honestly about trade deals. If anything, this probably might be about a military alliance honestly, it feels like this is more about a military alliance than more about an economic strategy of why these guys are meeting up. But hey,
is how this impacts the United States, how this impacts the U.S. And I do want to note one thing, Boris. We talk a lot about how President Trump hasn't called out Vladimir Putin, but we did hear something interesting from his Secretary of Treasury today, saying that sanctions were on the table and that Putin has done basically the opposite of what he said he intended to do. So they were still keeping their options open.
Kristen Holmes at the White House Force, thank you so much. Out front right now, Democratic Congressman Adam Smith, the top-ranking Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee. Congressman, thank you so much for sharing part of your Labor Day with us. So you have Xi, Putin, and Modi in the same room, smiling, holding hands. Kim Jong-un on the way to join them. As Xi talks about a multipolar world, is it your assessment that U.S. global dominance is fading right now?
Well, look, U.S. global dominance has been fading for quite some time. I mean, that's not really the issue. We were never going to continue to be where we were at in 1991 when the Soviet Union collapsed. I mean, the rest of the world was going to catch up, build economies, and get stronger. And there's nothing really.
Whoa. I'm gonna be honest with you now. When it comes to military might, sure. But when it comes to building sustainable economies, these guys have not built any sustainable economy that can last outside of the U.S. Actually, I would say the only guy that's built a sustainable economy and has a failing economy is Russia. I mean, Russia's the only guy that's operating outside of the U.S. and look how effed up they are. So, I mean, India still has heavy work with the U.S. China still works heavily with the U.S. All these countries that work heavily with the U.S., y'all trying to say, oh, we're losing dominant power. Well, I would say it is not economically, not military wise either. I'm wondering what you're talking about because the one superpower that is standing without us is crumbling. So make it make sense.
Wrong with that. We have to figure out how to build partnerships and adapt to that world. But what Trump is doing is he is alienating the entire rest of the world precisely at the point when that rest of the world is getting stronger and is in a position to have other options. You know, a lot of Republicans like to say that America first doesn't mean America alone. Well, under Trump, it absolutely means America alone. We have alienated India, a crucial economic partner, also a crucial partner in battling against Russia and China. And we have taken them and shoved them in.
An economic partner in terms of production, not really too much resources. Now, if you want to talk about China, for sure, China, but not India so much.
Into Russia and China's arms. And why exactly?
Like India is kind of like baby China. It's kind of like we just send all our factories there for cheap labor, which we're honestly trying to stop. So, I mean, I wonder how long they'll get away on that scam.
Why did Trump put this 50% tariff on India? As near as we can tell, it's because Modi refused to give Trump credit for ending the India-Pakistan conflict from a few months ago.
No. It's not about that. It's not that petty. Like Trump don't even really care what the Modi or Pakistan. Here's the thing. If this guy really knew anything, he would know that Pakistan and India are both claiming victory over that war. Both of them are saying, nah, we won the conflict. That other side lost. Look at what this side lost compared to the other. So no, that's not it. This is really about Modi buying Russian oil and Trump believing that he's still fueling that war that he's trying to end with Russia. He's trying to bring economic strain on Russia, and that's not really working with, my man Modi out here buying up the oil. I don't know. It is what it is. Not like I'm not saying that, he doesn't have the right to buy whatever he wants, and he should just listen to what Trump says. But let's be real. When Trump's able to impose tariffs on your economy, you might at least want to give it an ear.
And while Pakistan wanted to nominate Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize, Modi didn't play ball on that. So because Trump is personally affronted, we're alienating a crucial partner and a crucial ally. That's just idiot foreign policy. It's a huge problem for our country.
And all right. But all right, now let's get over to further coverage on it because, like I said, CNN, well, they're kind of throwing darts at the board here, trying to make it seem that they're aligning so they can economically go against the United States. And it's like, well, first they need to find an economy, or they need to find a group of people that can, I would say, replace the consumerism in the United States. Then okay, sure, maybe we can get on to that. And maybe if they can band together, maybe enough to, I don't know, like dominate us military wise, maybe. But to be quite honest with you, the only one of them that's actually standing without America is Russia. because during the trade war, bro, China was going through an economic collapse. Factories were closing, like and this is a country that mainly runs off exports. Their main business is exports to America at that. So when you cut off 30% of their exports, how you think that affected them?
Failed dig at the U.S. as he promoted his vision of a new global order. Xi told leaders at a major summit, quote, "The house rules of a few countries should not be imposed by others." He said more as well.
We
should advocate for an equal and orderly, multipolar world and a universally beneficial and inclusive economic globalization, and make the global governance system more just and equitable.
What truly interesting is who was there rubbing shoulders with Xi. Russia's Vladimir Putin and India's Narendra Modi all shared a laugh.
And honestly, I think they're going for, I don't even think it's too much of an economic policy they're going to have going on. It's more about a military alliance.
With the Chinese leader on the sidelines, really almost literally rubbing shoulders. For Modi, it was his first trip to China in 7 years. Let's get right to CNN's Ivan Watson, who was in Tianjin, China, with this rather extraordinary summit. Ivan.
That's right. And it's wrapping up now. The leaders of countries from across the Middle East and Asia have been gathering in this huge building here. Where they boast that they represent nearly 50% of the world's population, starting to see their motorcades leave now, John. And I think the enduring image is of those leaders of three of the world's largest countries, Russia, China, and India, looking pretty cordial and happy.
Oh, and shout out to my man Jay's like CNN be throwing BS at the wall, praying it sticks. I know, right? It's like, oh, well, he's mad that what did that guy say? Oh, well, he's mad that Modi won't give Trump credit for ending the Pakistan-Indian war. That's not it. That's completely wrong, and that's petty as hell. That is not it at all. No, he wants India to stop buying Russian oil, and that's just that. I don't even know why you try to make it seem like something so childish.
Together and all agreeing that this is a time of global uncertainty. And
I ain't trying to say these politicians don't get childish, but no, it wasn't that. And shout out last scene. PBD just did a surrounded episode, 1 capitalist versus 20 anti-capitalists. Would be a good watch to challenge the commies and anti-capitalists in the chat. Hey, yo, I agree, man, bro. We covered that yesterday, but we could always cover it again.
They're all calling for some kind of newer, fairer system of government. A lot of digs taken at what they describe as a world order that's been dominated too much, they argue, by the U.S. since the collapse of the Soviet Union. And Chinese leader Xi Jinping complaining about bullying.
And this is what I say is more about a military alliance, because what's the only reason why we're even getting into it with India? Over this war. If this war wasn't happening, India would have been cool. We just sat them to the side like, all right, cool. Continue with your manufacturing and all this good stuff and work out this trade deal later. But due to the war and due to the fact that it does seem like it's the EU, NATO, and America that's trying to tell everybody what to do, trying to tell everybody how to move while this war is going on, is causing a problem. And there's no other military alliance to go against these guys. Like, they're the dominating military alliance. Maybe there do need to be something outside of that so there can be an even exchange here. Maybe like back in World War II, but except with the fighting, these two are just debating each other on world policies or geopolitical problems.
The Russian President Vladimir Putin saying that this kind of Atlantic Eurocentric world order, these institutions are outdated. Of course, he's complaining at the same time as his military is nightly bombing cities in Ukraine in a war that he only described here as a crisis. It is notable that the Prime Minister of India was here. He skipped last year's Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit, in part, I think, because of the fact that India and China's relations have been pretty bad. About 5 years ago, soldiers from India and China were beating each other to death in skirmishes in a disputed border region in the Himalayas. He's clearly here mending fences and still stinging from the fact that the Trump administration just days ago imposed 50% tariffs on India, much higher than on India's arch rival Pakistan. And that's seen by many Indian experts as stabbing India in the back and a U-turn on decades of growing U.S.-Indian relations.
Yeah.
Watch this place closely.
And here's the worst part about it. I kind of hear what he's saying because he's like, yo, we benefit more being cool with America than us being cool with China. What does China do? China don't buy into nobody's economy. They just sell to your economy. They're not buyers, they're sellers. Like, we need buyers to go ahead and fund our economy. So where are we over here getting cool with the sellers? Like, they're not going to help us out. Like, getting cool with China isn't really going to help us. So I do see where the people in China are like, yo, Modi, what are you doing? Like, these guys aren't going to benefit us. They're not the ones giving us the factories. Like, the American-made companies are the ones that's kind of keeping us afloat with all the jobs. Like, what the hell are you doing?
Because in a couple days' time, China will go from flexing its diplomatic muscles to flexing military muscles with a huge parade, military parade in Beijing. It will be attended by none other than Vladimir Putin and also the leaders of North Korea and Iran. John.
Yeah. High symbolism there. Ivan Watson, great to have you. Thank you very much. Deanna?
All right, joining me now is CNN senior affairs analyst Kim Dozier. If there's anyone who loves a military parade, Kim, we know it's Vladimir Putin. He's conducted one every year in Moscow, and now he's going to be there with Xi Jinping on Wednesday to watch China's. To pick up on what Ivan said about Putin's statements, here's what he said today at the summit and how he described the SCO, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. He said it's a system that could replace the outdated Europe Central and Euro-Atlantic models and would take into account the interests of a maximum number of countries and would be truly balanced. Putin has long been pushing for a multipolar world order, one that is less focused on you.
Yeah, see, it's not really about economics. This looks more about they're trying to create their own NATO. That's exactly what this is sounding like. And the worst part about it is them creating their own NATO. These are all countries that have that has nukes. So this would be a pretty formidable force.
U.S. in a unipolar world dominated by the U.S. being the global superpower.
Here's the thing. I'm more scared of these guys militarily than economically. I mean, economically, they ain't shit. But militarily, I mean, they could do some things together.
Or is he getting that wish come true now?
Well, what we're seeing is this formation of this Eurasian bloc that is strengthening its ties economically, militarily, diplomatically, and China is in the lead. You know, China wants to conquer the world through trade, through markets, vice through force, and replace the US as the leading global power. And it's taking advantage of this moment when Trump has alienated people.
I know, ain't that great?
So
Actually, you know what's so funny? China does exactly what the libs accuse us of doing, but they claim that China is a better society. China literally goes out there to African countries, put 99-year leases on them, abuse them for their resources, make sure they don't profit off them, and leave. Like, everything that you guys get mad at America doing, China does as well, but you guys claim that it's a better socialist society, or it's a socialist society, and, you know, they got their and they got their communist ways, but it's better than America. I mean, y'all don't know nothing.
Including India, which was becoming an ally, whereas in the previous White House administration, the Biden administration had used market forces and joining together to try to discipline China and Russia. In this case, however, we see that sort of method being thrown out the window, and now these tariffs producing a fusion of nations that haven't always had the West's best interest at heart, especially as we see with the war of aggression in Ukraine.
Which is true.
Yeah, and Modi making his first trip to China.
Honestly, what these tariffs prove is that no country had our best interest at heart. To be quite honest with you, that's what these tariffs prove. And it was damn near heartbreaking because it was like, you know, I thought you guys would be willing to, you know, work out trade. We give jobs to you. We give jobs to you. Why don't y'all try to give some to us? And we kind of learned how it was F us, and you guys should just take the short end of the stick and screw you guys. That's literally what the world told us over these tariffs. And we're just like, oh, okay, well, now we just don't care what they do to y'all. And then the fact that y'all are capitulating and giving us these fantastic trade deals, it makes it even better for us. Because in the beginning, you guys kind of showed y'all hand how you don't care about the American people. You don't care about our jobs. You don't really even care about our economy at all. So it's like, okay, then, well, we got to do what's good for us, even if it hurts y'all then. And since y'all don't even really care to try to, you know, straighten out these trade balances, you want to call us, oh, we're friends, you're ruining a great relationship. for you.
In some 7 years, coming after the U.S. slapped an additional 50% tariff on India for purchasing Russian oil and gas. And yet we saw those striking images of Modi not only sitting in Putin's motorcade for an hour for a meeting prior to walking in and meeting with other world leaders, but they walked in hand. The two countries have long had a close history dating back to the Cold War and the Soviet Union era. But do you envision this being an opportunity not only for Modi to get closer with Xi Jinping, but also with Vladimir Putin? These sanctions appear, at least optically, to only be bringing these two closer. They not only buy Russian oil and gas, we should note, they also buy arms from Russia.
Yeah, Russia and India have always historically had close ties.
You see what I mean? You see what I mean? They literally continue their wartime economy in Russia. Like, that's what India is doing. It's funding that wartime economy in Russia that Trump is trying to stop. I mean, and Putin don't give a damn. He needs it right now to go ahead and try to topple Ukraine. But you see what Trump was trying to do there? Not only oil, but they're buying weapons too. And here's the thing. Now, am I saying that I completely agree with the strategy that Trump's employing? No, not really. I'm 50-50 on it. I feel like there is a better way he could have done it. But considering what India is doing, and they are guilty of it, I mean, or what? Are we just going to be on Indian side because F Trump now? Like, are we going to be that petty, or are we going to stick to the consistency of, well, you guys being against this war and wanting it to stop?
Because Russia has time and time again helped India out militarily. Much of India's military manufacturing systems are based on Russian models and need to be resupplied by Russia. But what you also have is this new pressing together of the two sides because while India had been taking advantage, yes, of cheap Russian crude, India sells that Russian crude onwards to the European Union, which has doubled the amount that it buys from India. So inside India, you see this fury over what they see as a double standard. The EU escapes U.S. tariffs over secondhand purchase of Russian oil.
They made a deal.
China isn't facing tariffs over its much larger portions of Russian oil.
Because they made a deal. I mean, there you go. They made a deal. I mean, well, bro, y'all know the EU made a deal. The EU deal was announced maybe like last month. The UK made a deal. The only people, like, India did not make no deal yet. So, you know, maybe if they was to make some type of trade deal, then they'd be safe. But the difference between the what was it, 3 countries that you name, the difference is we have deals with 2 of those countries, and one of them is the odd man out.
All of that together spells out an India that is ready to do business with anyone but the U.S. right now.
Yeah, China, we should note, the largest buyer of Russian oil there. Kim Dozier, thank you so much.
No, because the only thing that, I'm gonna be honest with you, the only time that China buys is to pretty much sell more stuff. It's like they literally buy American ethanol to make their plastic.